Red Wave. This is Beware of Bulldogs. We are your hosts, Caleb Nale and Caleb Pletz. It's football season. It's officially that time of the year. It's week 1. Joining me, as always, and for the rest of the year, this is who you get. You get the two of us. I hope you're all right with this. My friend, Caleb Pletz. Caleb, it's here. We've talked to the guys from Boiler Alert. We got to know Purdue a little bit more. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And are you ready? Has it hit you yet?
I think football season being back has partially hit me. I mean, week 0. This past week was, a little bit of an appetizer. I think we saw some interesting football. San Diego State is the same old story, which selfishly I do love to see because I just love that. They can just still be on brand. But yes, this Saturday, it'll definitely feel more real that week 1 football is here. And I mean, we are ready for this. I think Fresno State football team is ready for this, and Saturday cannot come soon enough.
It is the official Beware of Bulldogs preview. So thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on X or Twitter, as it says on the ticker down below. Beware_Bulldogs on Instagram. Beware Bulldogs podcast. And also follow along and watch our faces, if you dare, on YouTube. Beware of Bulldogs. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We will be going live on Sunday night to recap the game. Whatever happens, we're going to talk about it. We are partnered with Bulldog Sports Properties, the local Learfield multimedia rights team, making this the official fan podcast of Fresno State Athletics. So what does that mean, official fan podcast? That means you get a say in what is told on this episode or on this podcast. So we want to hear from you. We have a hotline for you. I don't have the number pulled up. I need to memorize that, Caleb. It's 559-419-0384. 559-419-0384. You can always call into the hotline and leave a voicemail there. We are getting back into the swing of things. So I had to pull out the outline, Caleb, from last year. Because, to be honest, I was going to do a whole new thing, but I thought we had a good thing going, and we both knew it, so we pulled out the outline from last year, and it brought up a lot of good memories. I'm really excited about this. Packed show for you today. We got to go through the 2 deep, because that was released.
Mm-hmm.
We have the captains that were released, so we got to run through the captains. And then, as some people may know, but a lot of people don't know, when it comes to football season, Caleb and Caleb refer to themselves as the CNC Football Factory. If you don't know who the CNC Music Factory is, look them up. We are the CNC Football Factory. So we have our Gonna Make You Sweat, Everybody Dance Now segments start this week. Very excited. We're going to cover the weather, the TV, the spread, final score predictions. It's packed. I can't wait. Let's do it. Caleb. Let's start with what we know. Let's start with the 2 deep. I think it's best if we start with the 2 deep first.
Okay.
Any surprises on this 2 deep when you initially look at it? What stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I think since last time we recorded, I mean, Mikey Keene was named Fresno State starter. I can't remember if we've touched on that yet. So, I mean, obviously QB1 is important and is definitely going to stand out. So, he's won the job, and Coach Tedford praised his experience and poise, especially going into maybe some tougher environments such as a Big Ten opponent like Purdue. So, definitely like that move. I mean, I think we're really excited just to see what he's going to be able to do. In this new offensive coordinator. So I think QB1 is definitely top of the interest list.
I agree. Mikey Keene, and then we saw Devin Rivers as the backup running back behind Malik Sherrod, which should not surprise anyone. But it surprised a lot of people because of the experience that was there before he got there. With
definitely
Moore and Gilliam thought for sure one of those guys would be number 2, Devin Rivers. Number 2. Should be no surprise, though.
Yeah, and well, we've mentioned it too that the running back room is just crowded, and with returners, Sherrod, Gilliam, even Jonathan Arsenault coming back, but yeah, just a lot of talent. New to the program this year, and Damian Moore, the transfer from Cal, and the 3 talented freshmen, probably the 2 that'll probably get more talk this year, in Devin Rivers and Brandon Ramirez. So yeah, I think that was one of our predictions earlier. I think it was a week or 2 ago that we said, I think there's going to be a freshman running back that's going to be the number 2, running back in terms of production. So far, it's looking like we might have been on the right track with that prediction, which doesn't always happen. So obviously, it's a long season.
Yeah, it wasn't hot enough, bro.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to stay with the skill positions.
Yeah.
So I'm moving over to wide receiver. Magdalena, Eric Brooks, Jalen Gill. I don't think there's any surprise there. And right behind them, we have Josiah Freeman, Jordan Brown, Jalen Moss. Once again, I don't think there's any surprises there. The one thing I will say is we're playing small ball. These are really fast. Fast slot receivers, and they're getting the start. Now, I think here's my thought, and I'm also going to say the same thing when we talk about O-line. It's going to depend on what formation we come out in first, because there may be a time where Josiah Freeman and Jalen Moss go out on the field. There's a situation where they go out on the field first because of where we're out on the field or a play call. In my opinion, that's what can happen. But I don't think there's any surprise when it comes to starting wide receivers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that's going to be a position group where there's going to be frequent substitution. So I think, listing those guys as starters, it's 3 seniors, Delaney and Brooks and newcomer Gill, giving them some respect there that, they've, put the time in and the work, and especially in the offseason, working hard to get better. And so, we're rewarding them with, the starting spot. So, no real surprise. I think we're going to see a lot of different guys coming in and out there. And I am curious too. I know that one of our gripes last year was the frequency of the wide receiver handoff or the end around handoff that seemed like it just would not work, and the coaching staff just kept going back to it. So new offensive coordinator, play caller this year, and Pat McCann, and a bunch of new wide receivers there. So I mean that's something I'm curious about is is that wide receiver end around play gonna still be in the playbook? Hopefully, if they listen to us, they throw it out, or maybe just use it once or twice a year, because it seemed like that was an overused play call last year.
Right. And for everyone that's new, there's a lot of you that are new. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jalen Gill is going to be used like Nico Remigio. And if we know anything about, or we do know something about electric players at the wide receiver position, by the way, Jalen Gill is also going to be handling the kickoff return. Watch out for Jalen Gill. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And we've heard a lot of stuff out of camp that this guy is electric. At the tight end position, Trey Watson, no surprise there. Jake Boust gets backup duties, or is the number 2, listed as number 2. Now, Caleb, let's talk about offensive line. I do think there's a lot of surprises here. Maybe from the outsiders looking in, there's surprises because at center we see Jacob Isaiah. There was a lot of talk about who was going to play center, and his name wasn't thrown out that often. It was thrown out. Some people knew, but this may surprise some people. Spomer was thrown out there, but he's going to stay at left tackle, in my opinion. I think that's where he's best, and I'm glad he's there. Tyrone Sampson, left guard. Right guard, Mose Vavao. He's been consistent, and he's the stud on the O-line. I would say the leader. And then at right tackle, we have Braylon Nelson. Caleb, tell me, what are your thoughts about the breakdown of the 2 deep at the O-line position?
Yeah, a lot of familiar faces here. And I think this is a position group where I wouldn't be surprised if what's listed here is different from what's actually ends up on the field come game day. 'Cause, I mean, that's something that we saw last year, and I think this team is still trying to figure out what the best configuration of the offensive line is in terms of most effective and cohesiveness. So, I mean, Spomer did play well at left tackle towards the end of the year. I know that we were expecting one of the transfers to really step up, whether it be the transfer from Kansas State, Kingsley Ugwu, or the local product out of Fresno City, Hayden Poulos. I think we're kind of expecting one of those guys to maybe step up, and there's still very well be could be room for them to force their way into the lineup. But yeah, Spomer definitely feel good about, and Mose at right guard. I mean, he's a senior leader on this offensive line, and so those two guys I feel pretty good about. The other three definitely question marks. I mean, we haven't shied away from talking about the struggles of this offensive line, and I think it's really going to come down to how well the new offensive line coach, Coach Army, has been able to help implement a new scheme and really just coach up these guys. So yeah, definitely big question marks there. Yeah, I don't really know how it's going to go. Week one is going to reveal a lot about this team, especially offensive line.
And talking to the guys from Purdue and learning about this Purdue team, they have a good defensive line. So we got to be on our A game. I think one thing that we haven't talked about, probably as collective as the Red Wave, is the relationship between center and quarterback. We have a lineman that hasn't played center in a while, and he's working with a new quarterback. This quarterback is new to everything. How does that relationship work out? Are they going to be at the top of their game on Saturday? There's another question to add to the list.
Yeah, good point.
Let's move to the defensive side of the ball. So D-line, we have our four-man front is Isaiah Johnson on one edge, Devo Bridges on the other. Don't think there's a surprise there. At tackle, we have Gabriel Lightfoot and Johnny Hudson Jr. I do want to mention that Gabriel Lightfoot sat out of practice. He was injured, but we're not too sure if he's ready to go or not. I think he will be. So we'll see, if Mendoza or Bumgartner step up and play D tackle. And then on the edge, Charles Remlinger, who we saw play inside and out last year, he's listed number 2 on one end, and Jazon Jacks on the other, redshirt. When it comes to the D-line, Caleb, any questions that you would like answered or thoughts that you have on this D-line?
Yeah, I think definitely the health of Lightfoot is concerning, and it seems like it's a minor injury, and he'll be able to go. I mean, I'm sure all these guys are itching to play some real football, so I'm sure he's going to do whatever he can to be ready for Saturday. I know that Devo Bridges is the one that's kind of looking to be the real catalyst of this defensive line, and I think he's going to be really important with getting pressure on the quarterback and keeping that outside containment too. So he's definitely the big factor. I mean, he finished really strong last season, so there's a lot of expectations for him coming in here. So I think that is a concern too. Is he going to get too much attention? Is he going to be constantly doubled because of all the hype that he has? And is the rest of the line going to be able to take advantage of that if Bridges is doubled?
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the deepest room in the entire country. That's the linebacker room. We have Malachi Langley and Lavelle Bailey starting at linebacker. No surprises there. Phoenix Jackson was talked about a lot in camp and by other players that we spoke with. He's there. Raymond Scott's there. Excited to see him after his injury last year. And then I'll bring up Nickelback, the band, and just kidding. The position, Nickelback, Maurice Norris Jr. starting stud, and then Jalen Williams, a sophomore, gets the nod at the 2 spot there. Now, if some of you are wondering about new names at the linebacker core, there was injuries, or in the linebacker room, there were injuries. Some people are out, some people are recovering, but I am really happy with those 4. And in my opinion, Mo can play anywhere. So if they need Mo to play somewhere, he will. What are your thoughts about the linebackers and the nickelback.
Yeah, I think my biggest curiosity is, seeing, potentially different, looks that Coach Coyle is going to put out there, and possibly, 3 linebacker, lineups out there, because we're kind of still rebuilding the linebacker core after the DeBoer era of the 4-2-5 defense. And so I think that's something that we've picked up on a little bit in a couple interviews that Coach Coyle's done recently, and basically saying, yeah, this linebacker group is really strong, and they have 4 to 6 guys that can definitely make plays on the field, and they want to get as many difference makers out there as possible. So I think something I'm looking for is maybe getting back to some 3 linebacker sets there. And Maurice Norris is excellent player. We had a great time getting to know him. Go back and listen to that episode with him and Cam Lockridge if you haven't listened to it. And I think he's a difference maker, can cover, can make tackles in space, and he's definitely a difference maker out there. So all that to say, really strong position groups there. Definitely one of the strengths for this defense.
Yeah. All right, now cornerback, no question here. Carlton Johnson, Cam Lockridge starting at corner. The question that we had, and a question that you continuously brought up, Caleb, was the depth at corner. Alzillian Hamilton, by the way, Cam and Mo both had good things to say about Alzillian Hamilton in camp. And behind Cam Lockridge, you have Jamarian Briggs, redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't really seen much from him. Is there still a question mark when it comes to the depth at the cornerback position? Because our 1 and 2, unbelievable. But after that, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is still a concern. But I mean, those guys have been in the program. They're going on year 2 for both of those guys, Hamilton and Briggs. So, they've been getting the reps in practice, and obviously, watching Johnson and Lockridge just compete, and soaking up the knowledge of Coach Coyle too, all his experience, coaching defensive backs even at the NFL level. So I think that they will be prepared. Whether they're able to perform when the lights are on, I think that's another question. But at some point we're going to have to get these young guys some reps, because they're also the future of this position group going forward. So I'm sure that Coach Coyle will have them ready, just because of his extensive background coaching defensive backs.
And to finish it off, we have our 2 safeties, Dean Clark and Stephen Comstock. That's my player to watch. I said it in the hot take one. I'm excited for both of these guys. If we can wrap up and tackle and not play like USC at the safety position, we're going to be just fine. I think Stephen Comstock, former quarterback, he understands offenses and quarterbacks and tendencies and things like that. Dean Clark is a stud. We're hearing great things about him. They're going to be everywhere on defense. If we can just wrap up and not get beat deep, we're going to be fine, because Carlton and Cam are going to be fine on the outside. They just need a little bit of help over the top. So if they can do that and wrap up, I think these 2 safeties will make a huge difference. Backups, Kosi Agina and Cameron Braca. We just today, actually, yesterday, Monday, what should I say? Paul Leffler episode came out. We sat down with Paul, and he talked about Cameron Braca is one of the guys that he's excited to watch, and he thinks could have a breakout year. So I'm excited for that as well. I feel more confident each passing day in our safety room. What
Really?
about
Okay.
you?
Because I'm feeling like I need a bit of a reset in terms of expectations for production from the safety room, because I think for having 4 years of Evan Williams has been a guy that basically cleans up all the mess, and so I feel like obviously there's a lot of pressure on Dean Clark to fill in those shoes. I mean, wearing the same number, looks similar. Is he able to, live up to that? And so I think that's something that maybe, we need to be a little more cautious with, I guess, is, are these 2 guys going to be able to step in and step up? So, yeah, I think I'm a little bit more cautious than you are. I'll have to see it this first game, and this will definitely be a test against a Big Ten opponent of are they going to be able to not get beat over top, because I think we're going to see a heavy dose of running game from Purdue, just with how strong their returning running back is. And so obviously that leads the defense to be susceptible to play action, and if the guys are getting caught, maybe getting beat over the top for a deep ball. So yeah, I'm definitely concerned about the safety group.
Okay, well, you bring us back to earth, Caleb, so thank you. All right, let's move to special teams. Kicker, Dylan Lynch. If you're wondering about Abe Montano, he's hurt. He had surgery last year. He's still recovering. Punter, Carson King. We sat down with him and talked with him. Great guy. And if you haven't listened to that one, go check that one out. Long snappers, Nick D'Ambra. Holder is Carson King. I'm actually surprised by that. Carson, we talked about holding and things like that, but I know we all know Baxter, and usually he throws a quarterback out there that can be a threat to fake and things like that. But that's fine. That was one of the things that I thought of. Kickoff return, Jalen Gill, and then punt return, Eric Brooks. What is your thought about Eric Brooks taking the punt returns?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, last year, Nico had a lot of success, returning punts and returning kicks. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what the strategy is with having, maybe a different guy as, the primary for kickoff and not have him do punt return. So, yeah, I honestly don't have an answer for that. I mean, maybe that's just a smoke screen and it'll be someone different, or it'll be Gill for both. I honestly have no idea. Do you have any rhyme or reason for why they might have a different guy, returning punts?
Safety. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe one has better hands. Maybe Eric has a better read of, his surroundings when fielding a punt.
Okay. When to call a fair catch so you don't get obliterated.
That's tough, man. And so with the awareness of Eric Brooks, and he's a smart player, that might be the reason why. But overall, Caleb, are we feeling pretty good about this?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, this team has stayed healthy. No huge losses. I know, the season-ending injuries that we're aware of is Justin Houston at nickelback. He's going to be out for the year, and I believe the same thing with backup quarterback Joshua Wood. He had surgery recently, so he will not be in the mix this year, which puts the true freshman Mandel as quarterback 3, which I think a lot of Bulldog fans are excited for.
I agree. I'm very excited about him. Yep. All right, Caleb, we're going to talk about captains, but before we talk about captains, I got to talk to you about the Vine Church in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland. So my wife and I were looking for a church that was in our community, and we ended up driving past the Vine. And I drove past it often going into town. So we tried it out. Everyone was very kind, so welcoming. The pastor spoke biblical truth. Then the pastor and his wife invited us over to lunch, and then to meet with a group each week to share a meal with. And we've been attending ever since and have enjoyed it so much. And they take good care of the baby. So if you're looking for a community, please join myself and my wife and the rest of the Vine Church on Sundays at 10 a.m. That's the Vine Church on Shaw, just west of Grantland. All you need is yourself. I'll see you there. All right, Caleb, let's talk about the captains.
Okay.
The captains were released, and they listed 3. We know there will be 4. There'll be a rotating captain each week, but the 3 captains set in stone are Lavelle Bailey, Eric Brooks, and Mose Vavao, and they were elected by the team. So, what are your thoughts on the captains? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? I'm not surprised. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Lavelle and Eric Brooks were, the two representatives of media days, and definitely handled themselves with poise, and seemed to be vocal and emotional leaders of this team. So that makes a ton of sense. And Mose, he's a guy that's been in the program for a long time, and I think to have that strong offensive line presence makes a lot of sense too. So yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know how deep we need to go into captains. I'm interested to see what the rotating captains are and things like that, and who the veterans are that get the standing ovation at the game. They all deserve standing ovations because they're the honorary captains. Well, there's the children honorary captains, and then there's your veterans, and those are fun. And I do think that the player captains it tells you a lot about what players think about each player. But we know as fans, we see it. These are the guys. So, and they are producing on the field as well. So I'm happy for these guys, and I would follow these guys into battle any day. All right. Let's talk about the game.
Ooh.
We're done with practice. Let's talk about the game. So what do we know about Purdue? Not much, to say the least. Week 1 is tough. And what we have learned is that Hudson Card is a threat. He's very good. Graham Harrell, new offensive coordinator there, likes to throw the ball over the field. Former student of Mike Leach. There's a new head coach there. Yep. RIP. New head coach, former defensive coordinator at Illinois. They had a great defense last year. So there's a lot of question marks there as well in Purdue. But Caleb, going into this game, what do you feel comfortable saying to the Red Wave that you know about Purdue? And that could be player, personnel-wise, skill. You talked about the running back, Maccabee.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's like the most consistent returning player that they have at running back. Great production last year, and just a really strong runner too. So definitely a weapon to watch out for is Purdue running back Maccabee. I think he's number like 45 too. So I kind of like that, just like an old school running back high number. He's definitely one to look out for. And transfer Hudson Card. I mean, he was highly regarded coming out of high school. Initially going to Texas, and then got beat out with the circus going on there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I remember against the Graham Harrell offense, we mentioned this in the get to know, but Fresno State did face Graham Harrell led offense at USC back in 2019. So I mean, it was a lot of short passes, like kind of middle of the field, and kind of lulling you to sleep, and then they would try to hit a bomb. So definitely the pass coverage. I mean, the guys are going to have to lock down because it's going to be a lot of short passes. And but that being said, he could have a new philosophy now. So that's just going off of what I remember from 2019. But it seems like their wide receiver weapons on the outside are questionable. They had a big transfer go down with injury that they will be without. So yeah, they're kind of in the same boat as Fresno State with, in terms of offensive weapons, and, not really sure where the production is going to come from. And so I think I have to give the edge to the Fresno State secondary because, I mean, it's more of a known, quantity than, what Purdue is bringing on offense.
And their tight end is injured right now or banged up. We're not quite sure if he's going to play or not. So there's another aspect of the game that could change a lot. So I think their strength right now, Purdue's strength, is their O-line and running game. As much as we want to, as people are going to say that Hudson Card is a great quarterback, we have lockdown corners. So where can they take advantage of us? My thought is in the trenches and with Maccabee, who is a big guy and good running back. So
big physical runner.
Yeah. Now on the other side of the ball, defensively, Purdue's also banged up. I believe they have some D linemen that are banged up. And they're really young. I say at one position, and that is at a cornerback position. They have a freshman starting where I think we could take advantage of them. And then they also have safeties that are new to starting. So if we can play like we did last year through the air, and I say if because there is a lot unknown for Fresno State, a lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball. If we can play like we did last year through the air, I think we could take advantage of them. And maybe I mentioned it in the get to know, but we might have to play 12-man personnel, which is 2 tight end front, if we are struggling against the pass rush. But to be honest, with the guys that we have out there, there's a lot of returning production at the offensive line. They've all played before at Fresno State. So if they've improved, I believe in them. If their D line is beat up a little bit, so Purdue is one of those teams that has got bit by the injury bug early on, even before the season started. So it's in our favor a little bit there. Caleb, talk to me about the defense. I went too long on this, but what are your thoughts about the Purdue defense and how we can take advantage of them?
Yeah, it seems like it might be more throwing the ball because just from what we've heard, it seems like Purdue defensive line, no matter how injured or how hurt they are, the word around the program is the defensive line is a strong unit, and so I think that's going to rely on Mikey Keene being accurate, hitting the short, quick passes, so that way he's staying out of harm's way, not getting a lot of hits or taking a lot of hits. So I think Keene's accuracy is going to be put to the test here because like you mentioned, I think there's going to be some opportunities with maybe some younger players for Purdue in the secondary, and we've talked about we're starting 3 seniors at wide receiver, so experienced guys that should be able to get open. And so as long as Keene is being precise with the ball, I think that should be a way for Fresno State to exploit the Purdue defense.
Oh man, I'm excited. Now there are a lot of question marks for Fresno State. We don't know a lot, but this is what week 1 is all about. Caleb, before we get to gonna make you sweat and everybody dance now, can you please tell me about our next sponsor, ManageX?
Absolutely. Yeah. ManageX is a full service property management company that's been in Fresno since 1978. It's a long time. Properties they service, single family homes, small multifamily, office and industrial properties. So servicing those for property owners here in Fresno Clovis area. So they're also huge Fresno State supporters. So if you want more information about needing their services, go to their website, managex.net.
Managex.net. Okay, Caleb. I want to get the gonna make you sweat out of the way first. So if you're new, this is your first year with Beware of Bulldogs and the CNC Football Factory. We pick one thing that is going to make us sweat going into this game. And we pick one thing, maybe 2, because we like to cheat, that is going to make us dance in the game. So we like to get the bad out of the way. So what is going to make us sweat?
As an expert on sweat and sweating, I may as well be a sweat scientist.
All right, Caleb, what is going to make you sweat in West Lafayette?
I think I will be sweating instantly if Purdue's first offensive drive, they are just able to run the ball down the Fresno State defense's throat. I think that's a big concern if Fresno State defensive line isn't able to get a push and get pressure. And we've talked highly about the running back Mockabee. He seems like a weapon for their offense. So if he's just able to have his way with our defense, then I will be sweating early, and it could be a long day for Fresno State.
You took mine, darn it. I'm going to go with the first possession of Fresno State offense. I want to, if the timing is off with Mikey Keene and the wide receivers and the O-line is not holding up, I'm going to start sweating because if there's anything we know about Fresno State football is we like to start slow.
Yeah.
And against a Big Ten team, even if they're a bottom feeder Big Ten team, I don't want to start slow. I want to start fast. I want to put them away. And because there's a lot of questions about the players and the lack of snaps that there are at Fresno State, snaps at Fresno State, I'm going to start to sweat a little bit after that first possession. Hopefully they can turn it around. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But that's
As an
what's going to
expert
make
on
me
sweat and sweating, I may as well be a sweat scientist.
All right. By the way, I just want to let all of you know that I did some research into playing music on podcasts, and you can't play any music. The myth is you could play up to 30 seconds or 5 seconds. It's not true. You can't play a single second. So unfortunately, we cannot have the actual song on here. I did find some other things to get around it. Caleb, we can pay some money to get a license to do that. But it's a little outside of our pay grade right now.
I think we can just be creative.
I think so. And I think that was pretty good, right?
As an expert on sweat and sweating, I may as well be a sweat scientist.
Perfect. Sweat scientist. We do sweat a lot. Now, let's get into
Everybody dance now.
Everybody dance now. Caleb, what needs to happen on Saturday for you to dance?
Everybody dance now.
So I think just kind of building on something I said a couple minutes ago, I think Fresno State effectively passing the ball, I think, is going to be important here. So I think Mikey Keene having multiple touchdown passes is going to make me dance, just so that way we know, okay, we have our QB replacement for Jake Haener, who was very consistent for Fresno State. So definitely looking for the new consistent presence to be running the offense there. So multiple passing touchdowns for Mikey Keene, leading Fresno State to the victory, getting me dancing.
Yeah, when I think about our Everybody Dance Now segment, I think of the play during the game or a situation during the game where I stand up and I leave the ground and I'm jumping and throwing my arms around. I very rarely leave the ground. One, because it's hard for me to, and two, because I'm a pessimist. I didn't want to admit that, but I don't know if you could tell. But when I'm watching the game, it's not over till it's over. So my Everybody Dance Now is going to be this, and it's not going to change until it happens, Caleb. I said this last year. I didn't stick to it. I'm sticking to it this year. I will dance when we return a kickoff for a touchdown.
That will definitely be dance worthy, because I mean the Dogs are due. I mean, it's been how many, like more than 10 seasons, right?
I believe 2008.
Okay, 15.
Yeah. Shoot, it's been so long. That was when my grandparents were taking me to games, and now my grandparents don't attend the games anymore. It's been way too long. We need it. And when that happens, I will dance. Now, Caleb, people are going to want to know. Last year, we posted ourselves dancing to the entire world when they hit. Are we sticking to that again?
I think we're going to have to raise the stakes or make, the dance, more valuable. So I do think that if there is a kickoff return for touchdown, I think that is dance worthy. I mean, I don't think multiple touchdown passes is dance worthy. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
How about this? If there's a business out there that wants to sponsor the Everybody Dance Now segment, and you'll be in the post when it hits and we dance, then we'll dance. So
all right,
we got to get a sponsor first. How about that?
There we go.
It's week 1. I haven't been practicing. Once the season starts, I start practicing my dance moves, and we go from there.
Yep.
I haven't done that yet. Okay. Before we get to our keys to the game, I want to tell you about Givoli Winery. Givoli Winery, local winery located on Biola Avenue, just north of Shaw. Open Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, or on the weekdays by appointment only. You could check them out. Go online, type in Ziveli. Looks like Zavelli. It's pronounced Givoli Winery. We have a great time out there. So after you attend the Vine on Sunday at 10 a.m., that's when service starts, you can come with me and we can go drink wine at Givoli Winery. So shout out to Givoli Winery for helping sponsor the show. All right, Caleb, keys to the game on Saturday. You know, there's a crossover between Everybody Dance Now and keys to the game. Mm-hmm. But for people like me that pick kickoff return, you know, I got to get in my keys to the game. My key to the game is 0 turnovers.
Okay.
I don't want any turnovers. That could almost be my Everybody Dance Now is no turnovers. But if we want to compete at a high level with against a team with a supposedly good defense or will bring a good pass rush, we need to commit 0 turnovers to give ourselves a chance. We need to convert on all those chances. When we get in the red zone, we need touchdowns. No field goals, touchdowns. So those are my keys of the game. Convert in the red zone, touchdowns, and no turnovers.
Definitely. I think a key for me is going to be in the trenches because obviously Fresno State has struggled on the offensive line. A lot of new faces on the defensive line going up against a Big Ten opponent who has, you know, guys that are going to be big and strong, you know, Midwest guys. And so going to be a battle to see, you know, who's able to, you know, get the better push for, you know, offense or defense. So I think that's going to be huge for Fresno State and, you know, probably be an indicator for how much of the season is going to go. Because, you know, if Fresno State's able to hold their own against, you know, a Big Ten opponent, you know, in the trenches, I think it's going to definitely suit the Dogs well going into conference play. So that's definitely my key there. I also think, you know, kind of flipping, I had this written down too on defense, you know, being able to force turnovers. I think that's something that was definitely an improvement last season, you know, with, you know, Coyle's offense, you know, being newly installed. And the team was definitely getting better at forcing turnovers. And so I think if the defense is able to create the pressure and, you know, force opponent quarterback to make bad decisions, that's definitely going to be, you know, a key that's in Fresno State's favor.
Yes. Another thing that I'm going to add to the key of the game, but it will ease my sweating, is getting big chunk yardage on special team, on kickoff return and punt return. Mm-hmm. That'll ease me a little bit because of all the question marks on the offensive side of the ball. So if we take a kickback 30 yards, I'm going to be very happy. And let's give our offense some short field to work with. Let's figure everything out. And it's another way to start fast. Big plays. So let's open up the big plays. Coach McCann, open up the book, baby. Let's go. Play 1, we're going to the house.
Week 1, open up that playbook. No need to hide anything. Let it rip.
Do you think that they hide the playbook a little bit week 1?
Good question. I mean, we're going up against a strong opponent, and I think that, you know, we're going to need to be able to put our best plays out there. I mean, I don't think there's a ton that the team is going to need to hide, you know, against, you know, maybe conference, you know, to keep conference opponents from seeing it. So I would expect it to be, you know, pretty aggressive. I think, you know, maybe if Fresno State's starting off against, you know, an FCS opponent, you know, maybe it's a little bit different, a little bit more vanilla, but I mean, this is a big opponent and definitely a winnable game for Fresno State. And, you know, to start this season with a statement win. So I think the play calling is going to be more aggressive than, you know, we might expect again, you know, a more, you know, opener against an FCS team.
Right. I agree. No reason to hold back. Let's go win the game. Do what needs to be done. Okay. Next on the docket, Caleb, you are the best at bringing us the updated weather, the TV, what's going on TV, and the spread. And you can add in the over-under. But first, Caleb, tell us about our next sponsor for the show.
Yeah. Next Sponsor, Flora Flower Company, local flower shop. It's modern and unique. It supports local growers. It's a one-stop shop for gifts. You don't know what to get your wife for birthday, Christmas, Mother's Day. Go to Flora, get a nice bouquet. They have a florist there that can help you arrange it, because I don't know if you're like me. I have no idea what looks good. So they have people there that can help you. They're open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 6. They're located in Clovis on Shepherd and Willow. And you can also order online and they can deliver it to your door. So definitely a lot of options there in terms of products to buy for, the special people in your life. They are giving a discount code out. So if you use the code Fresno15, you get 15% off your order. So definitely use that code.
That lets them know that we sent you.
Exactly.
And it helps out the show. So Fresno15 at checkout, Flora Flower Co. All right. Weather TV spread over under, Caleb, if it's available to you. What you got?
All right. So early kickoff for Fresno State. I don't think we've mentioned that yet. So noon local time in West Lafayette, Indiana, which translates to a 9 a.m. Pacific kick. So do a little breakfast tailgate while you're watching this game.
Mimosas.
Exactly. Televised on the Big Ten network. So not included in all cable packages. So you might have to upgrade or find a free trial to watch this on the Big Ten network. Or better yet, you can listen on the radio on Fox or iHeart to our friends Paul Leffler, Pat Hill, Cam Worrell, one of the best radio broadcast teams out there. I think we would put them up against pretty much any other group out there. They're spectacular. So those are your viewing and listening options. Game, let's see, weather on Saturday. Got a high of 86, so I'd imagine at kickoff it's going to be a little bit nicer than that. We do have some humidity. We're in the Midwest, so dealing with the 59% humidity, so it could be a little sticky, but I mean, nothing compared to the 100+ weather in Fresno that this team's been practicing with. So
easy money.
Nothing to be concerned about. So some numbers. Purdue now is favored. I'm seeing by 3.5. So that's moved. I think when this line opened initially, I want to say it was like up. This is like 7 or 8 points. That's now moved closer to Fresno State's favor. Is that what you saw too?
Yep. And you and I had been talking around 4.5 when we were looking at it, and now it's moved to 3.5. I think that is one. It's a good sign. The guys in Vegas, they know what they're doing. They're not dumb. And people have just started doing research into Fresno State. And, okay. Yeah, these guys actually have a lot of talent there. We should move this. And I'm sure there's a lot of money going the other way. So 3.5 makes things pretty tough if you're a betting man.
But you still got that hook with that field goal. Point total, I'm seeing 47.5 as the total point. So, definitely on the lower side, I think. I mean, that's like, 3 touchdowns apiece and, a couple field goals is the difference there. So they're not expecting a high scoring game, unless it's a lopsided one. So, yeah, the numbers are interesting. Yeah.
My prediction on Get to Know did not go that way, but I could see it going that way because both defenses have good games. Okay, Caleb, last but not least, before we get into final predictions, we have our last sponsor, and that is Tats Pocket Pros. They have custom-made Pocket Pro football helmets. Just want to show you guys really quick what they're doing. So here's a sample. Shout out Tats Pocket Pros. You can check them out on social media and custom. So, we had to get the Beware of Bulldogs Pocket Pro with Beware on the front. Tune into YouTube if you want to see. You let him know it's a local guy. Let him know what you need, what you're looking for, and he'll help you out and get you there. That's Tats Pocket Pros, custom made Pocket Pro football helmets. All right, Caleb. It's time.
Yep.
Your final score predictions for this game. If you pick Purdue, you are fired. What? kidding. I don't have the ability to do that. So just so everyone knows. But what are your final score predictions for this game?
So I do think this is going to be a close game. I think both offenses are still going to be trying to gel together. And I think probably not as much offense as either team would hope for. So I'm thinking Fresno State wins this one 27-21. Close game. A couple field goals are going to be the difference for Fresno State.
Okay. I agree with you. I think that the field goals are going to be the difference. I hope we convert. But I'm changing it because you took mine last time. So I changed it to be different. But I'm going back to my original 27-21 Bulldogs. So it's going to be close. It may come down to the wire. I hope not.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the Bulldogs are, one, a better coach team. Two, because there's a lot of questions, I brought this up all night long, because there's a lot of questions, people don't know what they're going to get. Purdue doesn't know what they're going to get. So I think we have the element of surprise. We are healthy. Purdue is not.
Mm-hmm.
We have that going in our advantage as well. So I think a low scoring affair because of good defenses helps the Bulldogs. Is that fair to say that?
I'm definitely on track with you there. I mean, obviously we're synced up right now, picking the same score. And I think you made a good point about the coaching staff too, because I think that the Fresno State coaching staff has been preparing. And we didn't even mention this Fresno State team is on a 9-game winning streak. So definitely a lot on the line here. And, the coaching staff wants to keep that rolling. And, a big win against, a Big Ten opponent is definitely the first step for this season. Because like we've talked about, the schedule lines up really nicely to where Fresno State can have, potentially 2 Power 5 victories and, add that to a really strong conference performance, and this team is going to be well positioned for something in the postseason.
I agree. I can't wait, Caleb. By the way, first time Fresno State has ever played Purdue.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we let everybody go, Caleb, to finish it up with?
I think we've covered it, but thanks to everyone for sticking with us through the summer and through basketball and baseball. We've made it to football season, and go Dogs. And no matter what happens this week, show up on September 9th for the first home game, because we need to pack the stadium and continue to build momentum for this program.
Yes, it's going to be a fun season. If you don't follow us on X, follow us there. Beware_Bulldogs. We will be doing Twitter Spaces. My goodness, Spaces. We'll be doing Spaces over there. So be sure to watch out for those on Instagram. I'm going to try to do some more Instagram lives for you Instagram people. Follow us on YouTube. These are up on YouTube. Not live, but the recaps will be live on Sunday nights. Caleb and I have not decided a time yet, I believe.
You're going to have to follow us on socials so that way you know what time it's going to be.
Or hit the notification bell on YouTube, and you'll get the notification when we go live.
There you go.
And that is about it. If we get a sponsor for Everybody Dance Now, we will dance. So there's that. So don't be texting us and calling us, why didn't you dance? When it hit. That's what we're waiting for. All right. Well, thank you guys once again. We appreciate all the support. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys at the stadium and all the events and watch parties, future watch parties. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you guys. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.